Welcome to the finale episode of the Telosive EV podcast. Yes, ever. This is it.
Wow. We made it to episode, was it 202?
Because there's going to be no more EVs after January 20th.
202. It's a palindrome. It's a nice, sweet number.
What is a palindrome? What'd you call me?
Palindrome is?
Oh, excuse me. I'm an engineer. I'm smarter than you.
It's an
engineer.
I wouldn't expect you to understand, Randy.
I don't even know what you say. He talked over you.
Yep. That's how it works here.
You can explain to him.
Drew doesn't know.
What us engineers use palindromes for.
It's funny because the other guy, being Randy, is the one who claims to be an audio engineer. So I'd feel like he would know as a audio engineer. Word engineer in his title would know.
This audio engineer made an album. If you want to buy, I'm just going to plug it now. If you want to buy my album, I made a physical CD. I explained it better on tech, but anyway, it's really cool. I put a lot of years into this, so I might not know what a palindrome is, but I know what the tells of a relic are. So
ask Hannah.
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly.
What's a palindrome?
Oh, I get it. It took me a second. Like, who's that? Oh.
I love all this EV talk we're doing right now. All right, Drew, what is it?
Are we jump into it
right now? I need to know right now.
Oh, I was gonna say me and Drew both saw something that will never come out.
Hey!
Being the Robocab.
There it is. I get it now.
I'm curious how you. Well, I guess.
I see what you did. I see what you did.
I don't see.
Okay, thank you. It took a second, but
did he post something?
No, I know. Wounds that cut deep.
No, Randy's biggest Tesla experience video was when he checked.
I think it's my biggest video ever.
I finally get it.
He checked out the Cybertruck in person, and the thumbnail was like, "I get it now." So I was like, "We saw the CyberCab in person. I get it now. Autonomy. It all makes sense now that I've seen it."
It's not. It sucks, isn't it? It's terrible. That's what you get. It's terrible, and it should never come to fruition. And oh my God, you like the thing, Drew? Is that it? You like it? Is that it?
Nah. No, okay. It was whelming.
It was whelming. I agree. I went there. I'm like, this is all right. I got a text today from someone who works at Tesla saying, "Hey, come on down to see the CyberCab."
Nah.
And
really?
Yeah. And which is funny because they only sent that text because you have to fill out the iPad thing just to get close to the CyberCab. So they told me after getting my information from filling out the form to see the CyberCab, they send me a text message saying, "Hey, do you want to see the CyberCab?" I've already seen it.
I got a text while we were recording.
Oh, saying,
but he didn't ask if I wanted to see the CyberCab. He said, "I'd like to invite you to experience our new Tesla vehicle and full self-driving feature. When would be the best time for you? Let me know and I can schedule it." Does he not know I own a Tesla that has FSD?
I don't think they do.
Maybe he wants me in a hardware 4 vehicle. I don't know.
Maybe so.
Oh, Mike, you doxed their VIN.
A VIN technically doesn't dox. I could actually reveal the VIN of my car in this.
I know, but you've chosen not to all these years, and I don't know why.
Wouldn't that be a thing if I revealed what specific Model Y I have?
To be honest with you, that's not necessarily true. If I have your VIN number, I can. I have ways.
Can you track me down with the VIN number?
I can. I can't track you down like where you're at the moment, but I can tie it to you, and I can find you.
Could you track it to my local ATM machine?
The ATM are in the military, in the government.
I get it because it's a palindrome.
I can't wait till I don't have to hear your laugh anymore.
Oh, you'll miss it. You'll miss
You're
it.
gonna miss my Trump voice, baby. Believe
You took
me.
a lot of pictures. That's good. I didn't take a single.
So
photo.
here's the thing. I got in. I missed the one specific time that I should have been a little bit nosy. They opened the back of this thing when I was there.
What?
They opened the back of it because there was another Tesla employee there that was from
Was in
another
the trunk?
showroom. So here's the thing. I went
The
down to like
The
I don't think
employee with the driver is in the trunk.
I don't I don't have I think it was at this moment there's some employees right here and they opened the trunk and I was more focused on the rim and I realized that the trunk was closing as I was going from a squat to a stand and I thought, "Oh,
Oh.
they're opening the trunk. Can you open that again?" They're like, "No." And
Oh.
I asked why and they just walked away. So then I asked the guy with the iPad, "Hey, can you open this?" He's like, "No, we can't do that." I said, "Why?" He's like, "We're not supposed to open it."
Those
I'm like,
guys had the worst job. I felt so bad for them. Like,
yeah.
you bring in this prototype and you literally can't say anything, and you're texting people to come in the shop
Mhm.
and then saying, "Don't touch
Just
it."
so they can hear you not say anything.
Yeah, you're not supposed to touch it at all. You're only just supposed to walk
You want to
around
come
it.
look at it? You
I
want to
got
see
deep
it?
in there.
Did they talk about how they were able to get it in there?
No,
Uh,
but that would have been fascinating. I would have
yeah.
loved to know how it got in there.
Here's your third seat, by the way. It's right here.
You put a little frog down there.
Yeah, third
You
seat's
can
right there.
sit. What
Yeah.
what were your thoughts of the dimensions, Mike?
It was actually what I expected. I was
was
expecting a
not
Model
larger or
3
smaller.
that has a hatch, and that's what it is in terms of height. That's something that you didn't put in your video is like the height of the thing. You put in the width with the doors open and the length, I think.
Well, I was measuring mostly with floor tiles and
I was gonna say, what did you use to measure? I expected. Does he have like a measuring tape? And you never mentioned what you used as a measurement device.
no, I forgot the measuring tape. It's probably next to my AirPods. But even if I brought a measuring tape, I don't think I could have gotten the hood very accurately. But I did precisely measure my shoes and did the footstep thing.
Oh God.
That's one way to do it.
And
That is
I
one way to do it.
measured.
That's why I did the Model Y when I first saw it. When
Yeah.
When I think it was still a prototype. But yeah, sorry. Anyways, you somehow measured it with your shoes.
My shoes are 12.75 inches long. And then I did end to end. And I measured using where the tile lines are. And then I got the final results and they seemed too high. So I rounded down a little bit. So I did preface that these were rough numbers and that the production model would likely change anyway. And that even with a measuring tape, I can't get that close to it. So regardless, the numbers are rough. But I was actually quite disappointed with the length, if I'm being honest.
That's what
It's
she
a-
said.
You're lucky this is our last episode. So,
Hey, what are you going to do? Have us not come back next week?
it's gonna be that bad. But, dude, this is a 2-door 2-seater, and it's only 10 inches shorter than a Model 3.
Huh? The frunk? Is it the frunk?
It's both. I think it's a extra long trunk and a bizarrely long frunk. I don't know why it's as long as it is, honestly. Can I might get in trouble for this, but it's our last episode.
Do it.
So-
Ever.
Right.
Ever.
So
According to
I
Drew.
think I'm okay
Yeah.
saying this, but I talked a little bit off the record. He didn't tell me not to share this,
Okay.
but I've gotten in trouble for saying that before. But I talked a little bit off the record with Jason Hill about the CyberCab,
Oh.
who, for those who don't know, is the chief of design for Aptera, which there's definitely a lot of design similarities with Aptera and the CyberCab. He and these aren't negative, these aren't mean things, but he just said he thought that, and I actually thought this was pretty eloquent. He said the Robovan, the Robovan, is over designed, and the CyberCab is under designed. And He told that to me yesterday, and I haven't been able to get it out of my head. I was like, "You're right." Like the more I think about it, the Robo Van was like, "Autonomy is here. Autonomy is the future. Rethink the entire exterior of a van." There he is. We got him.
If you're curious what Jason Hill looks like.
If you replay that question, you'll
No.
Yes,
Stop
he
it.
coined.
Was
he
that
coined
this year?
the most
That was
famous
this year.
response.
No, that was
I
last
don't
year.
know.
That was last
I
year.
think it
That was last year. Oh, thank goodness. Anyways,
But Jason Hill is awesome. He's in my
great.
Aptera video, which isn't out yet, but might be out by the time people hear this.
This man got to see Aptera again. But anyways, Jason Hill thinks these things are just both sides of the spectrum in terms of design.
I'm not quoting him word for word, but he brought up that like if it's a fully autonomous vehicle from the ground up, like why does it need a windshield? Like why do the occupants need to be seating forward? Like why does the CyberCab need to be so car-like? Shouldn't it just be like a smaller robo-van? Or more like what Zoox is doing, like an omnidirectional robotaxi.
By like 5 seconds to Zoox.
All those questions, if you play it back.
Look at this thing. It's so quirky and cute.
I wish I had that in my soundboard, but yeah. Apparently, I don't know if you heard, but they have started doing autonomous Zoox rides in the Bay with that vehicle.
I'm down.
Right now, it's only
Let's
only
make that
for
connection
employees.
happen. Oh,
it's an employee-only program right now, but people have taken videos. You'll find them on Twitter or some other platform.
I can't connect to them on Twitter. I'm not on there, but
I did see videos of them driving around. So the list of people beating Tesla to the punch continues to grow. But I actually really liked Jason's perspective of like, one is over designed and one is under designed. I agree with that review.
I lost the image of the toaster box, but yeah.
I think I need to see it in person to me. I finally understand it, or I finally get it, or whatever.
it's imagine a Model 3 but modified, and that's it.
I get that. No, that's what I mean is that like after this whole We Robot thing, like that was that was the final straw for me. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. So like I want to understand it, and I don't get it. I don't.
The only impressive dimension to me was the width. It was very narrow.
Isn't that worse though for driving people around? Like especially if you're like Ubering and you got to pick up multiple people. I don't want to smell your breath.
It's just one person sitting in there.
You think you'll ride around with a stranger like
yeah
at a discount?
That's not what's happening.
No, he might be onto something there, Mike. Maybe Tesla would feel like, oh, the ride is half off if you let us pick up some.
Oh,
that's how it works with Uber and Lyft.
Individual.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Randy riding with someone in the robotaxi that isn't his wife or his child or friend makes no sense.
You could see how uncomfortable that would be. You have to sit really, really close to someone, and you're just like,
I'm just like this. I'll just be like, hang on.
Hi.
Got my kid. Just like.
No, that's a liability. That's kind of dangerous, right? Because if
come here often.
If you're on the freeway, you can't bail. Like you can't like pull over. You're stuck with that person.
I think we're getting kidnapped. It's like an elevator.
Imagine a 10-minute elevator.
You're in an elevator and I'm
10
Jay-Z.
minutes is generous.
If you guys get that reference, Jay-Z got his butt whooped by a family member caught on a camera when he was in the elevator. I think
so Jay-Z will not be ride sharing with this.
No, he's a liability. I can't do his laugh. I'm trying. I got 99 problems, but a cab ain't one.
I can't say it was a similar reaction to the Cybertruck. It was like, whoa, it's so cool in person. This was like, okay, all right.
I was actually more interested in the Cybertruck that was in that room than I was this thing.
It
I
had
took
a
the
nice
photos
wrap
that I
on it.
wanted to take, but was it the blackish green Cybertruck here on the right? I was more interested in
Did
seeing
somebody
what.
say
You know
green?
You know what's funny about that is they're showing off a wrapped Cybertruck, and today Tesla officially canceled all Cybertruck wraps.
What?
Well, like first party, obviously you can wrap it third party, but Tesla is not offering any wrapping now themselves. I don't know. Elon probably fired them because they weren't Republican or something. I don't know.
He needs to make them more efficient.
Yeah, Mr. Efficient Man of the government.
He needs to make it more.
Which is,
it's not very
honestly,
Doge.
Oh my god, are we gonna get into that?
No, please.
Yeah, it's the right podcast.
No,
It's the right podcast.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
stop.
before we move on, the wheels on this Cybercab are not painted.
No,
Did
it's
you
a whole
notice that,
plastic
Mike?
ring. Which I thought then, was the wheels at the We Robot event also plastic? But then I think you covered it in your video, or someone covered in the video saying, no, those were. These aren't. This is a different
They
rim.
literally have plastic rims that go on top of the rubber just for when it's in showroom mode.
That makes me mad.
So you tell me I could have just grabbed the Halo right here and ran?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you probably should have. I mean, at this point, what Tesla wouldn't.
They can't
put you on
replace
some-
it.
Don't
They
put me
can't
in
put
a
us
room.
on. We're already on the blacklist, right? Like, we're not getting invited to any event. And what event is Tesla going to have anymore? We Robot
Us
2?
Robot.
Ugh.
The robotening?
Robotnik?
I'm more excited for Sonic 3 than I am whatever robot thing. Yeah, I don't know. It was good to see though in person. I'd say if it's in your area, Randy, just look at it, soak it in for a bit, and
I would
then
like
move
to
on
see
and do
it.
your groceries.
I disagree.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think it's a waste of time. I
wow.
went out of my way.
That's interesting. I thought I was
work.
going to be the pessimistic one in this episode about
To
this
be honest,
thing.
yeah.
was-
if Drew's saying that, then maybe go ahead.
Well, you not value my because he's the Tesla sheep. Gotcha.
Because I thought you were gonna be pessimistic, and I got it through your lens, and then Drew would be like, "No, you should probably see it. It's a once in a lifetime experience to see what this is, because it's never gonna make it to the road, and you should get." I'm like, okay,
okay, that's a good argument. Actually, that's a good. You should look at it because you're never gonna see it anywhere else, or at least it won't look like that.
What was interesting, though, I don't know if you caught it when you were there. Maybe they stopped. You were actually here not too long after me, which was slightly annoying.
I waited for you to leave. I was right outside. No,
seems like it.
I actually didn't know I was going to be there until like right before.
And then he looks like, "Is Mike around?" No, all right, cool, I'm going in.
I was filming a late night update video at Tello, and it was like, okay, we got to go. We got to get there by 10 p.m. Do we have time to stop at Santana Row? I was like, I don't think so, because they probably close. And we looked it up, and they closed at 9. I got in at like 8:50.
Well, no wonder it was so sparse when you were there.
It was like literally they were closing. They were like, "Sir, we have to leave," and I'm like, "Hey, everybody!
Hey,
I saw it in
everybody!
person."
I'm Taylosive EV.
Who?
No one cares. Yeah. No, you
I
still
never
have
heard of
light
that
out.
vehicle.
It was. I did not know I was going to see it that day, but I was like, "Well, we can't do it tomorrow because we're driving to San Diego." So it was a very last second thing. But
Did you get to go to Aptera in San Diego?
Oh,
that's where I got Jason's opinion on the CyberCab.
Gotcha.
And did you get to see the PI build?
Yeah. I saw a few PI builds, but we'll save that for the video. It might
You
be
don't
up
want
by
to
the
talk
time.
anything about it right now. You don't want to
Oh,
inform us
okay,
about it
yeah,
now?
sure.
That's what we're interested in. What'd you see? What'd you do this time? How many
Yeah.
times did you and Chris hug and go get tacos together?
There were no meals shared, unfortunately.
Kika wants to know what's happening. Look at her.
That's such a good
Sniff
photo.
a moment.
I was
Beautiful.
playing with the macro mode for the phone. I was like, okay, my dog is trying to be in my face, so I took a photo of it.
I got to talk to many of the engineers off camera about the PI progress and how there's a lot of I won't name names, but it's very challenging for these startups to get all of the parts together. And I don't think that gets talked about enough. I know we don't talk about it in the video because I'm almost done editing it, but when you're a major OEM and you buy things by the hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions, depending on how many of the bolts or pieces go into your vehicles every year, those companies get priority delivery on those parts and those components. And if you're a young startup and you're like, hey, even when Aptera is at volume production, they only need 10,000, 20,000 vehicles a year. So when you're talking PI builds and they're like, can we get a few dozen of this component or of this part? Then they're like, oh, well, maybe sometime, but we have bigger customers that we're going to prioritize. So it's a bigger issue than I think the online community realizes, is like it takes a long time for all of these parts to come together, and the vehicle can only be assembled as quick as its slowest part. So I met Tim there. He's the guy looking at the front. He worked at, I don't know if I should say that, but Tim's cool. Tim's cool. And he was really just open and transparent and showed me all these little details. And
Was he part of
they
the
have
Teen Titans?
Yeah, sure. Screw it. It's the last episode. That's it.
Screw it.
He was on Project Titan. That's true.
Oh,
But
That's sick. That's kind of
yeah,
cool.
hopefully this project has a better future than Project Titan.
It came a lot further along, I suspect. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
something's driving around in public, so I would say yes.
Yes, that's a drivable PI, and it's going to be done for track testing, which is why they did add some non-production seats to it. Although they do have a lot of production seats. There's Jerry in the background. That's cool.
You just know these people by name.
I do. I see Reed in the side. Reed's the main solar guy. He's the one at the black T-shirt. That red Model S is Audra's. That used to be.
You're just doxing everyone and everything.
Oh, did you know Chris Anthony drives a EV9 now?
Oh, good for him.
So does that mean we're moving past we have the post Tesla ecosystem now, where people are just like,
I mean, there's a lot of Tesla owners there, but I don't know if it's a lease or whatever. But Chris Anthony, last time I saw him, had a Model Y that was sadly in an accident and it was totaled. And probably on FSD, who knows?
You can relate.
But yeah, they have lots of PI3 and PI4 parts arriving. Not just the binks, but also the chassis and the seats. And of course, the HVAC is already installed in there. Yeah, they had a bunch of those coils you were showing. All those suspension components were all getting unboxed while I was there. I apologize in advance. The audio is not great on my video because there's a lot of stuff going on. They were actively building the roll cages and chassis components as we were filming. So we tried to film as far away from them as possible, but they are still quite loud when they're banging metal
Yeah.
together. And they were going
Yeah.
through this whole there's like a coating process that the binks go through. There must have been like at least 6 of those carbon fiber binks while I was there. I don't know if one of them was PI1 or something, but there's a lot of stuff going on to the point that it was kind of hard to record. So there's actually some parts of the interviews that we had to cut back. But I got to talk a lot more in depth with Steve Fambro on this episode, which was
Wow.
cool
Getting to
because
talk with Steve for the first time.
yeah, well,
Or at least
I
more
briefly met
in-depth,
him.
I should say.
Yeah, I briefly met him the last time I was down there, but this time we got a little bit more, what do you call it, in touch. And he's a veteran, so I thanked him for his service, which was cool.
Thank you for your taxes.
That's good. So yeah, it was very uplifting. It was very exciting to see so much components moving around. Of course, yes, we all wish that they were further along in development. We all wish that they had a aesthetically accurate design, finalized interior and exterior. That would have been cool too, but that's why I wanted to double down about, especially when you're a young startup and you're not ordering things in bulk, you don't get priority shipping from these suppliers. They prioritize their
They don't
big
have Amazon
vendors.
Prime, y'all.
No, that's actually a great example they brought up, is that it's funny how when you're an individual and you order something on Prime, we've all become very accustomed to things showing up within a couple days or same day. We're just like, oh yeah, you just order it online. When you're ordering some of these custom components and chassis parts, sometimes it takes months. And there were, even without naming names, some companies that will talk to you on the phone, talk about pricing, talk about what they can offer, send you samples, go through the whole song and dance with many suppliers. And then like 3 months into the process, they will up and cancel and say, never mind. We can't supply you anything. We changed. We just don't feel like it. We've got other bigger clients we want to prioritize. So you will spend tons of time on the phone arguing with some of these people about, can you offer this? Can you offer this? And then they will just ghost you, or they will just shut you off, which is extremely frustrating and results in why, in case people are wondering, why doesn't Aptera have this ready sooner? Why can't they get it all together sooner?
It's a prototype. You can make it quickly.
Just throw it together as fast as possible. Yeah, just build it. And it's like, it's not that simple. But yeah, it was frustrating to hear about some of those delays. But the point is, they're moving. The point is, they're still doing things, and they're being as transparent as they possibly can. I can tell you that much. And it was very, very fun to see it in person, sit in it in person, and
wow,
just seeing it all come together was very exciting. So very, very thankful for everybody on the team making it happen. They're doing late nights. There were people working weekends. So it's not like a traditional, take the day off, it's a Sunday kind of thing. Everybody's showing up, doing everything they can. A lot of off the record stuff with software that's super exciting, that I'm very excited to share. Jason and other people in the software team, like Tiffany's been doing a fantastic job, as well as we got to meet Quincy in person for the first time. Mike, I believe you met her.
Yeah, I met her last year.
Yeah.
I think she's near the beginning of this thing.
Somewhere in there, but yeah.
I wanted to highlight, I've used this switch
for
projects before.
That's cool.
I was working on a heavy lift drone, and we required this switch for test flight. So it's nice to see that they have that there, and also looking at some of the footage of it driving around, it's readily available. There's a nice cutout there. I don't think that was on purpose, but at least it's a great spot to have it. So if there's something wrong going on, just flip the switch, turn off the battery leads.
It's right next to the 12 volt. It's a very, very small 12 volt battery.
Right.
It's probably,
do you know, is it just a lead acid, or are they going to try to put in a lithium ion?
I hope I'm not spoiling anything.
Maybe
but
let's not spoil anything.
I'm pretty sure it's LFP.
Oh, it's neither. Okay.
It's a iron-based 12 volt, but yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, Chris Anthony deals a lot with 12 volts with the forklift side of
Mhm.
things. So
Here's
I don't
Chrissy.
think it's a lead acid. There she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also got to play around with OpenPilot for the first time.
Oh,
That was a lot of fun.
on the vehicle or just in software in a
It
simulation?
was on Chris McCammon's personal vehicle. He drives a Model S that still has free unlimited supercharging, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Very rare these days to get your hands on one of those.
It is, and he has the OpenPilot computer installed, and he drove me around the area a little bit, and it does way more than I expected. I was, as someone who is skeptical of FSD and its capabilities and mainly just uses it for highway driving, I was like, OpenPilot is a fraction of the price of FSD and does like 99% the same stuff. So
Nice.
I was very impressed. I didn't realize I'm not very well informed on the capabilities of OpenPilot, but I didn't realize it can detect and slow down for speed bumps, and that it uses infrared cameras for head tracking. So that's a huge frustration right now with full self-driving, is that constantly whenever I'm using it, it's telling me, attention monitoring unavailable or attention monitoring available, and it switches back and forth because the lighting changes. But that wouldn't be a problem with OpenPilot because it has infrared, and yeah, it can change lanes. And I didn't realize, even though it's just that one little computer that mounts to your windshield,
Mhm.
the ultra wide lens on it is so wide that it can make turns through intersections.
Oh, wow.
So it can see, 180 degrees. So it can see the left, turning and the right turning lane. I mean, I'm typically the kind of guy that prefers to drive through those. So I don't know if I would use it all the time, just because anytime you do a 90-degree turn autonomously, you always feel a little nervous. But the highway
Absolutely.
driving was flawless. And this it was kind of insane. I've been saying for a while that I thought the OpenPilot computer uses like 35 watts. Turns out it's less than that. It's like 10 watts. And Tesla's full self-driving uses like well over 100 watts. So it's pretty insanely energy efficient for what it does.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah,
great
it
that you
was
got to check it out. Thanks to Chris.
Yeah, shout out to Chris. He was awesome. He agreed to meet us there in the early morning,
There he is.
and he let me sit in it and let me look at the chassis before it's installed to the PI, which I don't believe they've shown yet. So that's kind of an exclusive for Tilosive. I know it's kind of a nitty-gritty thing, but yeah,
Hey.
we get to see the mounting points, and the Vitesco motor and everything's integrated, and you can see how the bunk comes out the back. And these are already drilled for drainage holes, by the way. So when the hatch is open, you can see where the water falls and comes out the vehicle.
Nice.
So we get
on this.
They don't show it in this, but we get real up close and personal in our video.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was.
Well, that's
It was a
awesome.
good
I'm
time.
glad that you got to
Hoping
check
next
out
time
more and more and talk with more people as well.
my goal is the next time I go there, they give me a vehicle. That's the hope.
My goal is just to see one, since it's been a year, and I guess for Randy, it's just see one physically in general.
I've
Go
never
down there.
I've never been.
Well,
I would have been in San Diego this past week, but stuff came up. So
and they wrapped Gamma gold, which is really pretty.
Is that coincidence with or just coincidence or purposeful? To compare
It was not a coincidence. I was told directly that the thumbnail I did comparing the Aptera to the CyberCab inspired them to wrap it gold. That's what they told me.
Dang, Drew, you got some pool over there.
So I did one thumbnail and they were like, yeah, we better wrap it. That's
That
a
sounds
cool look.
great.
I was like, oh, okay.
Make sure you get
wrap
paid
one
for
red? Yeah.
that. Make it a nice
You can
deep
see
red.
it. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson got to sit in it when they were at X Prize with it. I also know that they are working very hard on this new there's a California state proposal that's like it's a credit system. So it's not a point of sale rebate, but you know how Tesla gets EV credits when they sell EVs, and then gas car makers buy those credits to offset the fact that they didn't sell enough EVs.
Yes.
Tesla's made over $9 billion just through those credits. And Aptera has the potential, if this proposal in California goes through, to make a huge amount of money from those credits. So that's why they're pushing for it so hard and trying to make sure that gets passed, because they have a ton of potential customers and accelerators in California.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make sure that passes, so that I mean, they designed the company to be profitable without tax credits, but this would just give them an insanely good secondary income stream that would let them fund other things and ramp faster and build more factories and that kind of thing. There you go. That's a good angle of it. It's gorgeous.
That's nice looking. I like that color combo, the gold and black.
Yeah. Gold is the new gray.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
Wow.
They have the NAX port is installed on the Pi2 as well, and the full size 44 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is a first. All the previous Aptera prototypes weren't full size battery packs, so this is also something we didn't film that I kind of wish we would. All of the production lighting components.
Oh,
headlight, tail light, the light bars. Jason Hill has been teasing those on Twitter. They're lighting them up, and there he is.
Neil looks very excited.
Wow.
He's ready to go.
When you look at the space physics of it, and
I can't find the video. They did a reel or something else with them. I can't find it anywhere. But
he's funny. That guy's.
There's one tiny design detail that I discovered on this trip between the Aptera and the CyberCab. It's not just that they're gold, but the doors have not only do they go upright. Yes, that's the other obvious one, but they moved from having the striker from being on the car to now on the door. And I didn't even notice that in person. I only noticed it once I watched videos of the CyberCab.
Striker.
So you know the little metal
Striker
piece? The little metal loop that the door closes on?
Yeah.
Most cars and trucks have that on the car itself. Mm-hmm. And then there's a motor and a latch that goes into the door.
Right.
And on the Aptera and the CyberCab, it's switched. So that metal loop is on the door and the latch is on the car. And that saves on weight for the doors. So the doors are cheaper to build when you flip them like that. And Aptera has been showing that from the beginning. And I just realized when I was looking at pictures and videos of the CyberCab, like, oh yeah, Tesla did that as well. And you can look on your Model 3 and Ys. It's not like that. The metal loop is on the car, not the door. So I don't know why they've done it that way, but they're swapping them around. But
if we don't know, we'll always chop it up to efficiency.
It's efficiency. There's always room for improvement. Although I don't know how you could make a vehicle much more efficient than an Aptera.
Tello?
Nah, I mean efficient for a truck, but not efficient. Not as efficient if we're talking miles per kilowatt hour. Space efficient, yeah.
Is this not it right here?
Right. That metal loop is
Mhm.
usually on the door if you look on your Model 3 and Y.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry, inverse.
Yeah,
That's
but this
where the
is
loop attaches to.
yeah. So what makes it different from my car?
Your car has the loop right there, the chrome loop.
Yeah, and on this it's also on the body.
That's not a loop. That's
That
an
is a
inlet.
loop.
I
That's a
have
loop.
the videos to prove it. You can take my word for it, or I can share my screen.
It's fine. You don't
You-
have to. It's
okay.
okay.
I know because I was editing it today, and I have footage of my Model 3. If you had a different angle of the door, you could see what I'm talking about.
I'm looking through all my photos, but anyways,
It's a little detail, but it's funny to see them copy each other a little bit here and there. 17. So, with that being said, I sold all my Tesla stock.
knew it.
We're out, boys.
This
All
man
three.
was teasing it before the
We're
podcast.
we're done.
All three
Gentlemen,
of us
how-
have
what-
no longer.
where are we at today? Like, hang on, I need to see. I just opened up.
Did you sell it recently?
Yeah. No, it
Oh,
was
good man.
It was I knew it was
Hey.
overreacting.
Yep.
And I saw I was watching it grow and grow, and I was like, this does not reflect
This is
reality.
not sustainable.
I was like, there's no way it can sustain this growth, and the growth isn't based on the company. I realized that this is slowly becoming, not slowly, this is quickly becoming, you just buy things because of Elon. This is Elon stock. It's not Tesla stock anymore.
Yeah.
And I would maybe be more interested in owning Tesla stock, but this is purely like the valuation, and all the people buying it are just like, Elon is gonna be friends with the president. And I'm like, okay, the president that doesn't really believe in EVs or know anything about EVs or care about EVs. I don't, or autonomy. Trump has said nothing on autonomous driving. So everything is just overreaction, and I could be wrong. You know, I'm not saying it'll never go up. I don't think it's going to crash. I'm definitely not shorting it. I also realized, like, I know too much, and I've already had to be careful in the past with like knowing things before they're announced, and I have to be kind of careful with that, with like, you know, technically having insider knowledge of things, and messing around with that and knowing that, okay, during this period I can't buy or sell the stock has made me go, you know what, I really shouldn't be doing this. If I'm a content creator and I'm also now working for another EV startup, I'm done with the EV stock game. So I also sold both my Canoe shares.
No.
You sound like someone I know, just getting out of the EV space.
Not only that, we're basically selling all our individual stocks.
Dude,
we're done with individual stock ownership. Like,
but Drew, it's so good with the Canoe stock right now.
Oh my god.
It's been so good.
I have never lost more money in my life.
Can you guess where I bought?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what prompted you guys to buy Canoe. I didn't see it in the numbers.
Because they had good ideas.
We caught the falling knife. It was at an all-time low when we bought it, and we were like, wow, it'll never be this low again. And then it went down 99.99%.
Oh my god.
So luckily I didn't put much in. Like,
listen,
I didn't
gentlemen,
put a lot in, but
we learn from our failures better than our own successes. this is good. It's a sobering experience. You just went into the drunk tank and you're like, woo, look at all this money. Woo. And then you realize that like this is volatile. Now, listen, I mean, by all means, all the anybody else who's invested in Tesla or whoever for the volatility because they're risking it, do what you got to do, man. Like, I wouldn't put your life savings on it. You know, don't take out a second mortgage the way people were doing it for crypto or whatever. But you gotta, if you don't know why you're actually buying, if you don't understand why you're doing your investment to begin with, and I don't just mean like, oh, to make money, but what you're actually like backing, you have to do it. And Tesla stock for the longest time is performing like an Elon NFT. And I'm like, I don't like this. I haven't liked it in a very, very long time. And the whole fact that I mean, I said it in my video about like, you know, I feel like the Republican Party's trolling right now and do it for the memes, and more power to you. But this whole Doge thing, and
I don't get it. I really don't. It's like, okay, there's actually going to be a Department of Government Efficiency now.
Well, I have a correction that I learned from since I made that video. It's not an actual department. You want to talk about like, oh, Elon's, you know, friends with the president. It's a half true, like it's not an actual department. It's not going to be, because that's going to take money, and that requires like a confirmation of sorts to even create a new thing. It's a consulting, and it's Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be these two consultants to the president without actually having an official federal employment position in his cabinet.
But what's stupid to me, and why I wanted to get out of it, I'm sorry, I'm boring. I'm just doing the Dave Ramsey thing now. I'm just doing mutual funds.
Here.
Like, no, I'm not here to look. I'm not here to look at stock prices anymore. I've removed the stocks widget from my phone and my Mac. Like, I don't look at stock prices. I'm tired of doing that, and I'm just gonna put it in mutual funds and forget about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm not looking to. I don't buy into the whole buy this and it'll make you rich. And we're fine. Okay, we're not hurting for money. I don't need to be rich. More money, more problems. Right? I'm not daydreaming of one day owning a big mansion. That's just not my dream. Like, to me, time is so much more valuable than money. Like, I look for ways to free up flexibility so that I can go on these trips like I did with my wife and maximize that so that we just have freedom and control to me. And I've got friends and family all over the place. I don't have any interest in putting a bunch of money on some big house or some nice car. Like, regardless of how much money I make, I still want something that's cheap to work on, something that's more affordable and reasonable, because I don't like driving around big liabilities everywhere I go. So it's just not it's never been my dream to just be filthy rich. So I'd never have been interested in that game plan. But what's stupid to me is that just because there's a department that's not really a department or whatever of government efficiency, somehow the name similarity has pushed up Dogecoin substantially. And I'm like, that literally has nothing to do with Dogecoin.
Yep.
There is no plan on adopting Dogecoin as a real currency. There's no like, Elon isn't even claiming that this department is going to have some kind of crypto adoption. There's none of that. It's literally just the name is the same. So buy it. And I'm like, this is culty. This is just, it's bizarre. And I'm not.
And now you no longer are financially invested in this outcome because you have nothing at stake anymore. Selling my stock was the most freeing experience. I see things so much more objectively now, and I can say things with more conviction, with confidence, that the things that I like and don't like about just this whole EV space, you know, like this is more. There's more to the space than the big personality right there on the stage. You know what I mean? Like that. you said it in the tech podcast, Drew, that like, how did we get to the point where Zuck seems like the sane one and Elon is the weird neurotic lizard person one in his own right? Like
just so much of it isn't based on anything. It's just like all millions of dollars being poured into it because it's the same name.
makes no sense. Makes no sense. I don't understand
and I'm an EV guy at the end of this. Like, we don't, on the tech podcast, we don't talk about Apple stock. We don't talk about Meta stock. We talk about the products and the services. And I feel like for some reason in the EV community, we have this really, really bad habit of turning everything into a financial debate about whether or not this company is a worthy.
Why hasn't Aptera gone public then if they're so confident?
I'm sure they will, and they have plans to. They've done all the paperwork. But again, it's like, why does that matter? It shouldn't.
Randy, this is what happens when you go public. You have some great ideas in terms of what you're making, and then here's the reality a couple of years later of what you think you're making.
Amazing.
What I think is a really great example is look at what's in the foreground versus what's in the background. Foreground is consumer products. Background is delivery products. What's in the foreground now? Delivery. Yeah. Consumer, way in the back with a pickup truck that has been redesigned many times and a van that doesn't seem to be coming anytime soon.
To be honest,
they furloughed like a quarter of the company. So I think they're about to declare bankruptcy.
Like, to be honest, I feel like going back to what I was talking about with like why you're investing, I think I got started with the intent with the single stock of buying Tesla that I would one day use those shares to buy a Tesla. And then we got there and it just kept climbing. And admittedly, like I lost my focus. I lost my vision along the way about what was important about why I even did that purchase and purchase within the stock to put my support behind it and not to be the richest person in the room, but just to afford or a down payment or something for the car. And it went way beyond that. And I was like, oh, wow, I tapped into the next Apple. But what I did not assess in all of that was the social implications that were going to come with it in a way that I think was like just not part of its time in the 80s or whatever you would have found worth of value with Microsoft in the 90s. Or I was looking for like the next big thing that I actually believed in I would use. And when I did that back in 2018, I never thought about the social implication of it, because back then, like, Elon was just this another almost like mysterious kind of person who was a larger than life personality. And I was like, oh, the next Steve Jobs, real innovator. And as close as you could without actually happening, the whole thing, like, don't meet your heroes. I was like, dang, this guy's not just weird. I don't mind weird, but like just the stuff that he puts out there, it doesn't align with the other parts of it. And I just felt that for so long, I was just always opening the stock app. Back then it was Robinhood and then Fidelity. And I was like, man, I don't like stressing about this. Like, is it up or down? Like that's not what investing is supposed to be for most people. I was treating the stock like I was on Shark Tank and I was one of the sharks, and I don't want that. I don't want that stress or that ability or that focus, because there was more money at stake than you want. The moment you get emotional about your investment because you see what's happening to it, you're already in too much. You're in too deep with it. So the lesson I learned from that, even though I didn't lose financially, I lost emotionally. The lesson for that is that I'm never going to invest in another EV company as with money. I'll be a customer. And that's what I wanted the relationship to always be with Tesla. And I just kind of got a little bit greedy along the way. And lessons learned. That's not what it was meant to be, for at least for me. So as much as I'm a Rivian stan, I'm not going to buy the stock. I don't care what happens. And I'm absolutely optimistic about it. I won't buy any of them. Even if you came to me during like, listen, off the record, I have the in with Tello and they're gonna go public, and I'm gonna let you guys be early so you can, when they ring that bell on Wall Street, you guys can sell your stock at a high as it shoots. Even if you did that, I would respectfully and politely decline. I'd be like, I would rather be a customer and enjoy the product for what it is, because I don't want to be involved in the business transactions anymore. I just want to be a customer. So congratulations to all of us for getting the hell away from this stress. Even though like we all walked away, I assume we all walked away on top. It was stressful.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't fun.
The Tesla stock definitely more than covered my canoe losses. That's for sure.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's still overall ahead for sure. I bought several years ago before the big crazy takeoff, and I know I probably could have held it, and there's a chance that it will grow more, and I could have made more, but I don't like playing that game when you know people and they're sharing things that aren't supposed to be shared yet, and I just didn't want to fuss around with that anymore. So I prefer just a blanket statement of I own no individual stocks. That way I don't have to worry about any kind of potential.
You're more honest than most politicians.
You can't be honest and be a politician.
Or tech reviewers.
You can't like all these stocks. Like I think the best thing that any politician, including, I guess, if we want to consider Elon something of that caliber now, the best thing you could do is have no conflict of interests. And
yep,
I mean, we have a whole freaking that Pelosi tracker thing on
no,
like
it's ridiculous.
It's a whole thing, right? Like to absolve yourself of any responsibility, liability, or influence and insider trading. I mean, they'd make an example out of the little guys anyway. People like that, if you get caught with insider trading, then that we saw what happened to Martha Stewart. She became best friends with Snoop.
Yeah, it might be worth it in the end.
True crimes.
I will agree with you. I'm done. I'm not investing in anybody. Just to be clear, I have no Aptera investment. I have no Tello investment. They have not given me any equity, so no shares to prioritize or to try to control the narrative or anything like that. I just want to talk about the products. I'm an EV guy. I'm not a finance guy. If you want my investment advice, which I can't give because I'm not an advisor, but I say listen to Dave Ramsey because he is an advisor and he's gotten thousands of hundreds, tens of thousands of people out of debt, and his stuff works. So,
and it's not sexy, it's boring, but that's the right point. That's the right mentality to have.
Right.
After the stressors that I did when I was, you guys were playing with Canoe a couple years ago while I was screwing around with crypto, and we all felt the same. I felt like, damn, I regret that. But I mean, I went into it with the full intent of like, this is not going to go anywhere. But I don't like that feeling. I'm a dad now, I guess. I don't know. I want to be boring. I want to be boring with that stuff. You shouldn't, even if it's play money. I would rather use play money to buy that hypothetical M4 iPad Pro than throw it at some stock that I don't even understand what's happening. Hypothetically.
It distracts. I think investment talk it distracts from the product talk, which I think is the more interesting side of things for me. Like, how many years now have we seen people claiming that Lucid is about to die?
Right.
The Lucid investments are bad. The stock is down. The company's blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and sure, it's probably all true that the financials don't look good and they're losing money. And yet, they're still going. They're still building cars. They're about to deliver Gravity. They launched the configurator and everything. Rivian also is in tough times, but I actually got to check out my first Rivian store down in San Diego. They had
been to a showroom.
The new one.
I think it's pretty new.
It is
and
new, yeah.
It was very fun. It was they had the Gen 2 vehicles out on display, so we got to see the new camera feeds and the new
I need to go up to Denver. I need to go into the showroom and see what this is all about.
It was closed the last time you went, wasn't it?
They're closed on Sundays, and now I know.
When did we go? Anyway, they had merch available, and they had all the tires on these little rollers so that you can look at the different wheel options, and I could look at Ocean Coast and the new stealth colors, and just overall amazing vehicles, amazing atmosphere they created at that Rivian space, or whatever they call it, Rivian experience. It was super cool and super fun. My whole family was walking around. We all got to check it out. They were asking questions and we were looking at things, and I wish Rivian all the best, and I love the products, but no need for the stock. No, that's yeah, maybe it's a fundamental thing, but as we're wrapping up this kind of, let's put a pause on, or a permanent closure to the investment talk. This will probably be our last time diving into it. It's like, for individuals, you really, in my opinion, shouldn't be trying to find there's just not a lot of success stories of like millionaires. Wow, how did you make your fortune? Well, I invested in the right company at the right time. It blew up, and that's why I'm famous. It's like that.
Yeah,
is pretty rare. I mean, I'm sure it happens occasionally, but 99% of the time, the reason people have done well in their life is because they lived within their means, and they were disciplined, and they just worked hard, and they got what they have from
most millionaires,
working
according to
hard
Dave
and
Ramsey,
saving.
since we're talking about them, become millionaires off of their own 9-to-5 job. And once they are disciplined about their financial literacy, and they you really get yourself out of debt and live within your means, like that, the compounding does its thing over time. And again, it's boring. I'm tired of, you know what it is? Tesla, the new space of EVs, crypto, whatever's after all this, it's just a different version of gambling.
It is.
And
it's more calculated gambling, but it's just gambling.
I'm not, like you were saying, Drew, I'm not interested. I'm more interested with my time than like this. I like that you brought it up, because I was going to say, like, us talking about us getting out of the Tesla stock and stuff like that. I don't know how our audience feels about it, but I actually don't enjoy talking about the financials with the EVs in general, because that's not what it was about. It was this cool new breakthrough with the technology, paving the way, literally paving for a new industry that we get to experience in our lifetime. And that has nothing to do with how the stock is performing. And I think what you said with Sapphire, or the Lucid Sapphire and Gravity and all these things. Oh, hi, Lucid. We will see you over there. Okay.
It's that same mentality.
I hated on that company for so long for all the wrong reasons. And really, at the end of the day, I don't care, because this isn't we're not financial advisors. This isn't a financial podcast. We're here to admire the products for what they are, and let's take it at face value. So
I say let the big investment groups and let the big venture capitalists
do all that.
They should focus on who to invest in and who they think will do. And also people who have done very well for themselves, very wealthy people who have left, money laying around, and they're wondering, hey, what do I believe in? What do I want to invest in? Let those big rich guys do the EV investing, because EV investing in general is just so risky. Car investing of any kind, it's not a very profitable business. And for some reason, I think it's mostly Tesla stock that's started this trend. But for some reason, these auto stocks are convinced that if we bet on the right brand, you're going to become a billionaire if you throw your life savings. And I don't like that attitude. And I mean, look at all kinds of legacy automakers, even the ones that have been around for decades, don't perform that great. It's not an industry known for being particularly profitable. And I think for some reason, maybe it's Tesla, that there's so many people convinced that this is somehow the next oil. Like, if I just got to invest in the right EV brand, and then I'll be rich, and all my problems will be
You know
solved.
what's more exciting than that? Being able to afford to buy a cheaper, more consumer mass-produced EV of that right brand. If whichever
Yeah.
one is the right brand, I would be more excited to be the customer of having that right brand than investing in that right brand. Because at the end of the day, all investment is speculative. You know, that's why everything that you ever sign up for when it comes to that stuff, it comes with that warning that nothing is guaranteed. It's not government backed. It's just
Yeah.
you're betting on some things.
Well, and
There's
invest, the mean for it, or the narrative for it, has changed a lot.
yeah,
Nowadays, it feels like people want to invest so that they can get rich, but it used to be more like, you believe in this, you want it to happen. It's like, I see it a lot more, at least in the Aptera accelerator community. A lot of people invested in that not because they think they'll get rich from it. It's because they just want that product to exist.
yeah,
They're like, we want this to succeed. That's why we're investing. And I wish it was more about that, but I think the best way to really invest that way is just, like you said, be a customer and be engaged in the
you're still
community.
voting with your dollar that way.
Yeah, exactly. Just supporting these, or like both of you guys had with buying Rivian merch.
Yeah,
You're supporting
exactly.
the brand.
Yeah,
You're like, ask me about it. Let's talk about it. And we're happy to go to these spaces, or go to events, or talk to owners, and engage with the brand and build the company that way, rather than how does it's like so many of these EV companies, their missions really have nothing to do with make our investors gobs of money. If you want to get
right.
to that stage, that's Apple.
Yeah,
That's it's kind of boring. It kind of gets stale when you're the company that's like, maximize the profit, bring shareholder value, bring shareholder value. Apple Intelligence over
yep,
marketing,
yeah,
that's a bring shareholder value discussion. The EV thing was supposed to be, there's a mission. We have a problem. We need to move towards more sustainable
exactly.
transport. There's a lot of challenges. It's not easy. Not everybody's going to make it, but let's invest, or let's support verbally, or through merch, or through the product, or whatever. Let's support those noble missions, not because we believe it's going to make us filthy rich, but because we believe it's necessary, like, for the planet.
Absolutely. And I think that's where, like, my goal for the next season of our EV stuff is I now that I'm no longer tied financially to the point where it's stress, my goal is to look at all companies, new and withstanding that. um I'm gonna be more fair and objective. Like, I will, with time to decompress, I will take Lucid more seriously for what it has. Because, like, at this point, like, it's all, none of this. If we, I was too analytical about all this, which was the wrong thing to think that was going to happen with, because then Tesla doesn't make sense with the evaluation that it has right now, and we know that Lucid's not going to go anywhere as long as they have Saudi money. So at that point, then I'm not going to pout that it's off the course of the thing. I'm just going to sit in my comfy chair and enjoy the ride. I'm going to watch all these play out. And now I feel more excited for more startups to come to fruition, one of which you're an employee of, and another that we all are interested in. Even if I know I'm not going to be a customer, I want to appreciate for the product's sake of it, because that's the pure intention of why the passion is there. It's not about money. There's easy, if you want to make money, guys, uh, you know, buy financial, like JP Morgan Chase stock, or something, like something with a high dividend. Like, if it doesn't pay a dividend, then it's like probably not going to get you that much money, because you don't really know. If you're trying, if your goal is to like maximize returns and stuff like that, there is way more established ways out there where you can make money and get that high. And I don't feel like it should be, a product should be held hostage for it, or a sector be held hostage for it, the way EVs have been. Because now EVs went from like, oh, uh you're just a soy boy liberal buying the thing, and that was the stigma to now. It's like, but if you have a Tesla, it's like, oh, there you go, you're a Muscaneer or Trump, whatever. And I'm like, I don't want any of these. I didn't ask for any of these labels. It took the fun out of it. It forced me to be seen through a certain lens that I don't want to be defined by the car that I have, because that's not why I got the car. It's not a status symbol for me. I did it because I like the tech. I'm just a tech nerd at the end of the day that's interested in all the technology. So to relinquish all the financial obligation that would come to any of that, now when we talk about money, I want it to be about it being more affordable, new networks coming online outside of the supercharging networks, or maybe a type of collaboration that will happen with Tesla. Like, because at the end of the day, even though we're all out of the stock, I'm still rooting for Tesla. I still believe in Tesla, and I think they're going to keep doing great things. I just don't need to,
I think they'll do well.
there.
And long term, I think the stock will go up. I do. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's about to fall off. I'm just saying I don't want the personal investment, and let's focus on the.
I don't want people to listen to us because we have financial incentive one way or the other when it comes to the things that we're fans about. If people who at least come to us to take in the information, it's because either you guys have a lot of firsthand experience with all these like new productions and stuff like that, but just our own experiences, because we have thoughts on FSD, or because we thought this next update or what the UI on the screen changed, or things with our as ownerships with our Teslas. I find that more engaging for conversation, and then seeing what else is out there and knowing what our next vehicle might be, even if it's not a Tesla, and knowing that we all believe that EV is the future and that's going to be the new standard eventually. I would like to see that in my lifetime. That's more worthwhile, and that gets me excited to like do deep dives on, because it's for the love of the product, not the love of the stock. I never care. I don't care. So yeah.
Are you out, Mike? Are you out of all your individual stocks, or do you still have?
I still have Canoe, Rivian, and Lucid probably to pull out of. But
okay,
I don't know. News such as Rivian and VW officially launching their partnership will probably help it. So
I hope so.
Exciting. We knew it was coming. It's nice to see that they actually.
It's a good partnership. They both need it.
Yeah. What's interesting is Volkswagen is putting money into 2 adventure brands. It's a lot of money. And so, like others, they're hoping their investment pays off in the end. And at least with one, it seems like there is a bright horizon. It's going to be a long road. And then the other one's just getting started.
Mike, I want to hear from you first, because I don't know how you put it in my head, but I have a question. Both of you guys, why do you think Toyota has not got on board yet?
They don't believe in EVs. They think hybrids are the future. Along with that, the push for all electric by 2035 or whatever turned them off immediately. And they're like, no, that's not going to happen. They bet against it. And came out with something that was a partnership with Subaru. And Honda has shown that partnership with GM has proven to be great when you're considering leases. But otherwise,
it's true.
There's just not, their leadership doesn't believe in EVs as the future.
That's true. I'm a little more conspiracy theorist, but I think there's a lot of big oil manipulation with Toyota. I'm not exactly sure why, but the whole hydrogen thing was such a boardroom decision to me, like with the Mirai. It was clearly like a Shell can supply hydrogen fuel, and we need your products to show that you want to keep buying Shell fuel sources, whether that's gas or whether it's hydrogen. And anyone who's done the math on the infrastructure costs and maintenance cost of hydrogen would know it's not worth pursuing.
Mm.
The fact that they've been so pushy on that, or I don't know, I guess they've allegedly had a lot of solid state battery development, but again, it's like FSD, it keeps getting pushed back. They're like, oh, next year we'll
Well,
have
even
solid state.
Stellantis recently said that they're putting solid states into the Dodge Charger Daytona, but not for customers. It's going to be for
Right.
a select grouping of them, and that's just a test. But
yeah, it's like
I believe that there has been developments with solid state batteries. It's just to what extent and how beneficial is it with current day technology? And I don't think it's
Yeah.
measuring up to anything close to what we've achieved with lithium ion or lithium iron phosphate or just anything
No.
else that works on current tech.
hmm
You're betting a little bit too much on future tech that you need to start somewhere soon.
It's fancy tech that isn't really addressing the main problem. Like the main advantage is being it's super energy dense and it can recharge really quickly. But the bigger problem with EV batteries is EVs are big. You need a lot of them. And how many can you build? That's usually the main limiting factor, the main bottleneck with any EV battery. So that's why so many startups, including Aptera, including Tello, are using 2170 cells. Rivian also uses 2170s, as does Lucid, is because they are scalable. It's not because they have some kind of magic chemistry that allows way better energy density than anything else on the market. It's like, no, they're dense enough, they can recharge fast enough, and we can crank them out like Coke bottles. Like there's just tons of them on the market. So that's why we use them. And the solid state game is just one of those like, oh, but then the battery will reach. Okay, with what chargers? Are the chargers optimized for that? Like, are they? How many of these can you build? Oh, 10 a year. Okay, then it's not really moving the needle. Like, low volume solid state production has probably been around for a decade at this point. Like, it's been around for a while. The question is, can you like scale it up so that you can build tons of cars with it? And that's why I don't get excited or interested when they're talking about, oh, we're in a low volumes, we're going to do a small batch. And I'm like, that's not the point.
I think their graphic on their website puts it pretty well where they stand. They've got one battery EV, one fuel cell EV, 2 plug-in hybrid EVs.
Yeah.
With the Priz Prime and the RAV4 Prime. And then after that, they say hybrid EV, which is just it's electrical assisted Toyota Crown,
there's no charge
Siennas,
port.
Tacomas.
It's just a hybrid.
It's assisted by some battery in there, but it's not like off of it.
I ask you guys because I always found it interesting that like out of all the legacy auto, Toyota has done very well over the decades. Like it's a very reliable brand. And they were one of the ones that like it's like you have the 5 most trusted people that you trust in your life in a room, and 4 out of the 5 says do this, but 1 of the 5 says no. And I can't help but really want to listen to that no about like why are we not having consensus here? You are an authoritative source in my opinion, and you know a lot, and you've been around, and you have done well. And do they know something we don't? Probably not. Maybe it's as simple as it's not good for their business model, or maybe because there's some oil
it's
involved.
Definitely not profitable in the short term if you want to look at it that way. Like we know legacy autos like Ford and VW have lost billions of dollars on their EVs.
Sure.
So EVs are I think very much a long-term game. Short term they're not very profitable, and for legacy auto it can be quite hurtful to your margins. But Toyota might just be thinking in the short term. They might just be like, well, we can't see a quick path to profitability, so why bother? We'd rather wait until we can see a way to make it profitable quickly. And to be fair, I think they could catch up really easily. They've got money. They've got resources. I don't think it would be hard for them to would really only take a year or two for them to be like, okay, let's make a all electric Prius that just uses a 2170 pack. Boom, it's already aerodynamic. You already got a fairly efficient motor. All right, it's got some decent charging speeds. NACS is now open, so that standard has already been public and easy to adopt. So they could probably leapfrog everybody pretty fast. I mean,
range eluted with the price of a Prius.
Yes, that would be
which
huge.
is what people want. They want something that can go really far but costs nothing.
And they've got a lot of brand power too, Toyota. That's like, I think the BZ is terrible. The fact that you can only fast charge it twice a day is a joke. And yet I see them all over the place. Tons of people bought them.
Yeah.
And you brought up the Prologue. It's one of the best-selling EVs in the country right now. And I saw them everywhere in San Diego. They were all over the place. It was nuts. So many Prologues, and on paper, there's really nothing significant about it. It's a big, kind of inefficient, clunky, not a lot of storage space. There's no frunk. I saw some people.
It's a Blazer. It's a Blazer underneath. That's all it is. Just
I would argue it's a less interesting Blazer in my opinion. It's like there's nothing about it very interesting other than, well, it's a Honda. So if you like Honda, I guess there you go. But people buy it. I bet a ton of people are leasing it. It's a very popular lease.
Yeah, I believe Doug DeMuro also talked with them when he reviewed the Prologue, and they pretty much admitted, we can't make anything like the Model Y, but people are looking for something that is a Honda that is electric. And so we're giving them that option.
Yep. So that's what I mean. Like, the BZ is leased at least, or maybe it's sold fairly well, and it's not very good. So I think that's the power of the Toyota or the Honda brand. It's just a brand people know and trust, which means if they did make something that wasn't trash, it would probably sell very well. Like if they made something with decent range, decent charging at a reasonable price, it would probably do even better, because then you'd get even the non-brand loyalists involved to be like, hey, this is a similar price to a Model Y, and it's got better practicality or something, better infotainment, whatever it is. So Toyota, I see as potentially, they're like a sleeping giant. Like they could get serious about EVs fairly quickly. I don't think it's like too little, too late kind of thing.
Dang.
I think it's what's incredibly captured in this meme right here, with Marty McFly pretty much saying, I guess you guys aren't ready for that, but your kids are going to love it. It's pretty much their mindset right now. Is that you're not ready for the EV yet, or more of they're not ready for the EV yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Your kids are going to love it when it's more profitable.
Well, to be fair, like right now we're still early adoption phase, right? Like we're the weird ones. We're the odd people out. We see them everywhere because we know what to look for, but we're not at mass adoption yet. So
that's true.
Yeah. Maybe Toyota's trying to take the Apple approach. We're not going to be first, but we'll be I mean, those guys have great vehicles. The Corolla, the Camry, those things have always been like, they hold their value. They're top sellers. They were up there with the Honda Civics and the Nissan. I don't know what Nissan's one is. Altima, maybe?
That's a car I want to go all electric.
Which one?
Honda Civic.
Dude. Oh my God. You hear me.
Cheap, bare bones, basics. Every time I see the Civic, I'm like, that's a surprisingly aerodynamic design. And I like how small it is. It's not a very big sedan, and I'm a fan of, space efficiency. So
a Honda Civic was my first car I ever owned.
Mine too.
What?
Of course, Mike.
Yeah. Here's the 2024
Oh, is that
model,
the newest Civic?
Yeah, it's the 2024, but I'm going to grab mine.
It's a lot more aggressive than the ones I'm thinking of.
Mine was, I think, a 2010 Honda or 2011, something like that.
It's a shame the whole supercharger doesn't work with the 800-volt architecture because Steve Fambro drives an
Here it
Ioniq
is.
6. Yeah, perfect. It's beautiful.
All right,
But
I'm
like,
gonna find mine.
I want more EVs like the Ioniq 6, like Magic Mouse on wheels,
Heck
super
yeah. It looks like a
aerodynamic,
Porsche.
and high range, small battery, just efficient. You know,
Yeah.
like that's what I wish Honda would go after. Maybe they will with the saloon kind of thing.
If they go forward with that idea of future retro, was it the Honda Revision or whatever it is?
Well, the Honda Saloon was the one I really liked. It was like the most aerodynamic sedan shape you could probably make.
Oops.
And what they mainly were going at was we want smart range. We don't want to just stuff a bunch of batteries in the car. We want to get more range with every kilowatt hour we can. And that's what I think the future is going to be more and more vehicles like that, like blending the hood with the windshield.
Bruce Wayne Lamborghini Batmobile looking.
Yeah.
More subtle, sir. Right, much more subtle.
Kind
I
of
really like
brush look with the lights.
Yeah. I really like that design. And they claimed they're going to, obviously this is concept car, so lots of things are going to change, but I hope the general shape, at least of the exterior on the production model they say they want to do in 2026, it's like, also this is asking for solar. You got tons of surface area for solar cells. Ugh. That's the dream. If you could get 5 miles per kilowatt hour with 1,400 watts of solar, you could probably still get 40 miles of range per day for free. That's where it's headed, man. That's what this is all going to. We can make it now or make it later, but that's what it's going to be.
We need the first domino to fall. That's actually making it viable, so we can show it. We don't need concepts. We need like a production one out there that says, "Look, this is now."
Honestly, the dream scenario would be Model 3s and Lucids are already getting 5 miles per kilowatt hour. If one of them inks a deal with Aptera, I think you'd really get the gears turning on people's heads of like, oh,
right now Lucid's charging or not charging. They have Project 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah, Road to 6 or something.
Road to 6 or whatever, which is their internal goal to make a vehicle that can do 6 miles per kilowatt hour or whatever.
Yeah,
that would be great. And that's already better than the CyberCab. I'm honestly quite disappointed that the CyberCab, they're only talking about hitting 5.5. I'm like, really?
That's it?
Stop at 5.5 by cutting out the whole back row and only having 2 doors? Like Aptera is talking about doing 10. Maybe they don't hit 10, but even if they hit 8, that would be amazing. Even if they hit 7, that would be unheard of. Lucid isn't even talking about hitting 7 miles per kilowatt hour.
I want to see. I want to see what I was hoping to see at Battery Day many years ago. I want to see that come to fruition. Where we were like, "Oh, can you imagine?"
Battery Day was such a disappointment in hindsight. Like nothing happened from that event.
Yeah, I know.
Literally
I remember
nothing.
people were talking about like, even if it's far out there stuff, like, oh no, now we're gonna make the first, solid state battery. Oh, we're gonna make that. It's just something. But I had a realization about this whole cyber cabs and FSD and all that, like why I'm so turned off by it. When you buy, at least right now in the next 10 years, I believe, when you buy an EV, I want to drive it. Like I get excited operating the vehicle. It's cool to have the adaptive cruise control elements or enhanced autopilot, whatever you want to call it. I like things that will help me for when I'm sitting bumper to bumper. But when I'm moving that thing and we're actually like going, I want to be in control of the thing. I want to feel like I'm a pilot, like that makes me like, oh, this is a great vehicle. not sit there in this, sterile feeling environment where I'm just like, wow, this is a thing. And I feel like I'd have more excitement sitting on a city bus or something at that point. But the idea of an electric vehicle being at your control and you get all the same cool tech, all the same cool app features on your phone, all the like I want to feel like I'm a captain of a ship, not a passenger in my own vehicle. I like the idea of what it's supposed to do.
Especially a smaller vessel like that, Imagine
That's
getting in a
yeah.
canoe and the canoe's like, "Oh, I will steer where you want to go."
Yeah.
Or
It-
a motorboat or a fishing boat. It's like,
it's
"No,
not fully a control thing for me. It's like when it's something that's cool, like you're like, wow, I'm having like a fun reaction to this. Like I don't want to go 90% of the way. Like I want to go the full 100. I want to drive the thing. I want to experience it. I want to.
that's cool."
It's pretty neat, actually. That
Talking
is-
about Honda and fun driving.
yeah, that's actually really cool.
This is a concept vehicle.
Yeah,
Of course.
it's cool looking.
People
But
anyway,
still
yeah.
argue that Honda's taking forever.
So the more that Tesla was like, "Whoa, autonomous driving is the future," to a degree, it might be right, and maybe they get involved with, local governments and city
But
ordinance.
still, riding in the CyberCab is not going to be that much more exciting than riding in a bus, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You get on a bus, you don't necessarily see the driver.
no, you just sit there and go, boom, boom. You pull
You
your little
sit
thing,
there
where
and you're
someone's
like,
off.
"Wow, it's moving.
Yeah,
I'm here."
I did it.
So I think what you're kind of making me realize, the reason I'm so obsessed with companies like Aptera and like Tello is because I believe the EV industry doesn't need a revolution in batteries. It doesn't need a revolution in chemistry. It needs a revolution in vehicle assembly
Hmm.
and manufacturing.
I was waiting for culture, but I think that's what you're describing.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Like the culture around how the vehicle is put together. It's not an issue of, do we have batteries that can get us 400 miles? It's like, no, we do. It's just the darn boxes you keep putting them in can't hit it because they're too inefficient. They're not shaped right. They're not aerodynamic enough. They're not efficient enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to keep taking the designs from 100 years ago and slap batteries on the inside and then complain that they're too expensive and too heavy and too inefficient. Whereas, like, I think Tello, the reason I got so pumped by them reading into the specs was realizing this has similar capability or better than a Tacoma,
Mm-hmm.
and it weighs about the same. There's not
It's
a
the
weight
size of a
penalty.
mini.
It's much,
You
much smaller.
You don't have to pack in so much more space for things that you don't necessarily need. And it still
Right,
does
and
everything that you do need to do, or
Right.
that you do need to have.
And this is not banking on some kind of alien battery technology. It's not waiting for some
Drew-
revolution in chemistry.
He tweeted out on the Tello thing, on the handle that, and it was recent, within the last, I think, 2 days, I saw you do it. That he did it showed a side by side of the two trucks, and you talked about the bed size, and you're like, the problem isn't like you were highlighting the inefficiencies of what we have going on right now. And if you can have the same, I don't want not production, but like like a truck, you think about the bed. If you can have the same bed, but more efficient, like, why wouldn't you go for that? I mean, unless it's a company car.
Who
and you want-
cares how big the truck is, right? Like that's
Yeah.
a barrier I think I've already experienced online with pushback on the Tello truck channels is like a lot of people just assume because it's small, that must mean it's less capable or it's in a different
Right.
price segment. And I'm like, no, this can do a lot of the same things those full-size pickups can do, sometimes more. And that's why we're comparing the price with those big trucks, is because it's like, no, just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's less capable. In fact, because we're so smart about the way it's engineered inside and out, oftentimes it's more capable. You'll get more performance, or you'll get more capacity, and pay far less money to operate. So it's not necessarily about small because we like things to be small. It's cute. It's like, no, this is just smart. This is just efficiency is like the pursuit of being less wasteful. It's like you're not paying for all these additional parts and components you don't need.
Mhm.
That applies to other EV trucks as well, not just gas trucks.
Yeah.
So that's what excites me, rethinking the vehicle form factor rather than just, are there
Yeah.
better batteries around the corner? Are there
That's what got me excited. That's what got me excited about Tesla in the first place, because the form factor was so. It wasn't a Nissan Leaf, and like there was sex appeal to it, but it was also with the intention of that. Like this thing looks. I remember seeing the Model S for the first time in person. I was like, whoa, this thing looks like a spaceship. Even though it wasn't, like hindsight, like I see the old, 2014 and older ones. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that. But to me, I was like, wow, it's silent. I know I was at a Kroger's, and I was in a parking lot, and it was just driving, or I was walking up to the store, and it was just driving right by me, and I was like, and I never forgot that feeling where I was like, this thing looks amazing. And I saw how low profile it was. It wasn't big and boxy. It was aerodynamic enough. And um, that was the first time I ever like noticed the Tesla. And I looked at the back, like, what vehicle is it? And it said Tesla. I was like, this thing is cool. And then I had the bug ever since. It was just there. I was like, I was obsessed with it. Yeah. Except the one I saw it was not silver. It was like like almost like champagne. It was an off silver. There's like a gold and silver hue to it, and I was obsessed with looking. I was like, this thing is amazing. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know how much it cost. Never thought I would ever own one. I just thought it was so cool to see. Like a bronze almost. I think it was like a bronze, if I'm thinking about it now.
I know what you're talking about. The only one I could find is the brown one, which is like a dark brown. But yeah.
Yeah. But that right there, that was revolutionary for an electric vehicle. Because what I remember before that was a Nissan Leaf. And that thing just looked inefficient. 90 miles to a whole battery charge, it just looked inefficient. But when I saw this, it's a car, it's big, it's sleek, it looks very like capable of just moving through the roads. And
you'll get if you're curious, you'll get a lot of backstory on the Nissan Leaf on one of the Tello Talks episodes.
Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
Another podcast, sir. I thought you were done.
Believe it or not, it was not my idea.
What?
They were like, do you know how to start a podcast? And I was like,
oh, you stupid man.
No. But they were like, we have all these investors and people we want to have on and talk to. And one of them is the former COO of Nissan. And
I am curious.
In pretty deep, not all positive, by the way. He talked in a lot of depth about the Nissan Leaf program and how, the development went for it and the struggles they had with it and successes along the way. He's a really interesting guy, and he's an investor in Tello. So we're excited to have him on. I don't know which week that episode will go live, but I supervised the call. It was like an online interview, and
cool.
it was on StreamYard just like this, and I walked them both through like what to say and like how to join and everything. So I'm not in the podcast as much on Tello Talks, but it's cool to supervise and kind of get everybody's thoughts on the company and their background. So, it's not just a bunch of nobodies that you've never heard of working on this company. It's like there's a lot of
everybody knows the Nissan Leaf. Like it was the yeah. I'm really excited about that one.
So the EV podcast is taking a break, but Teletalks is.
Are
We're
you
in
gonna
full
be
swing
on
now.
Teletalks? Like, are you gonna be like a speaker?
I think I'm on one episode so far, and I'm mostly asking questions. They're not asking me to talk much because I'm not a big enough name. At
Right.
this point, there's a lot of big names. We've already, just so you guys are in the loop. The first like 6 episodes have already been recorded.
Nice.
And just to be clear, like I say in the description there, it's a guest-driven show. So this is not Jason and Forrest talking once a week. This is a different person on each episode.
It is under your brand, though. You can see that right there. Authors.
It is.
Podcast.
I asked about that. I said, "Are you okay if it says like Taylor's podcast?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's fine."
People will look over it anyways. They'll think it says Tello, or it'll be.
I mean, everyone.
Most people who know about Tello probably know about Taylosive already.
Yeah.
But I asked if they were okay with that. And
My own podcasts also have the Taylosive brand, and people already associate me. I'm like,
piggyback on the Spreaker account.
I mean, at the same time, it's like I feel like it's a cool, like. I mean, Tello's a whole separate thing, but for me, like when anything that it links back to a Taylosive connection, I'm like, yeah, humble beginnings, man. I love everything that what we built with that. So it's like a badge of honor to me, at least. So it's cool that Tello's cool with it.
Yeah, he's the next big guest is, well, I don't know if he's next, but he was CEO of Nissan, so you hear a lot about the Leaf. And then the next half of the podcast is he was the CEO of Aston Martin.
Ooh.
So he talks a lot about James Bond and using all the different cars. It's a fun one. Even if, I think we still need a final stamp from him that it's good to post.
Yeah.
But even if we never get to post it, I had a lot of fun editing it because I was just like, wow, there's all this history to these companies that I didn't know. And he's pushing for electric the whole time and talking. He wants it to be more radical redesigns instead of just throwing batteries in existing. It's fun. So yeah, I hope people like it. I know some people are probably going to be mad because anytime Tello posts something that's not, we've delivered 50 cars, they're going to be upset. So
same thing happens with Aptera, and look at how far they've gotten at this point. With
why haven't you delivered 1,000 vehicles right now?
Why haven't you given us all the prototypes?
Yeah.
The podcast is refreshing, at least for us at the company, because everything else is so like, how quick can we make this? How can we post content that holds the attention span and like get it out there as quick as possible?
Right.
And the podcast has finally been an opportunity to just be like, let's have at least one outlet where we can take it slow.
I like it.
Give a little background so that we're not worried about how it performs in the algorithm. It's just we've got these cool consultants and partners and investors that have a lot of interesting background that are helping Tello and are willing to come on and talk about their background and how they're using it. So it's not going to be the weekly update series that I think people might want it to be, of like, show the prototypes being assembled. And it's like, no, that's for just the YouTube videos. That's not a podcast. Podcast is audio. It's called Tello Talks for a reason,
It's like the old Taylosive Talks.
I know, that's where I threw it at them. They did let me name it. They told me they wanted to do some kind of longer form interview style show, and they asked what would be the best way to package that. And I said, well, it sounds like you're describing a podcast. And they were like, yeah, do you know how to post on Spotify? And I was like, yeah, we can do that. We just need content. And they were like, Forrest knows a lot of people from his past. So he was like, I want to catch up with these people and talk with them again. So
it kind of reminds me of Jim Farley's own podcast that he's got.
Oh yeah,
called Drive.
That's true.
Where his last episode was March 13th. He does it seemingly at the beginning of the year. I guess Q1 is a little bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so he last talked with Matthew McConaughey, who is the spokesperson many times in the commercials for Lincoln.
All right.
And so it's not even him directly talking about Ford. It's just, let me talk about someone who's loosely connected. I guess he talks with Bill Ford in the previous episode, but like Jimmy Fallon.
God, Jimmy Fallon.
And all that. I mean, I'm boasting this, but
whoa,
let's boast Tello talks, I guess.
Oh, he had Sydney Sweeney on. That's weird.
Yeah, I picture that Tello could probably get there as well, and you don't have to go quick. You can go slow, and as long as you're providing very quality content, and there's what I liked about the first episode was there's nice little sprinkles of the background of Tello, and also with how things are going as well with progress that aren't very blatant. Of like, here's where here's where we are in production. Here's what we're building right now. Here's how much money we have right now. Here's when the thing's going to come out. It's very much just a nice casual talk between the two founders of the company, talking about how they got there and some interesting specifics that they want to share along the way.
I think they really needed it too. They were a little confused when I was first suggesting it because they were very busy and they had a lot of stuff going on that day when they filmed it. I think because we filmed that, Jason was a little late for one of his meetings. He was like, "How long do you want to talk? Because I gotta go." But I was just like,
"That's funny."
There hasn't been a good moment on the channel yet where we just had the two of you sit down and say like, "Why are you here? How did this start?" And I was like, I think that would be helpful for you guys because there's just a lot of, okay, here's what's going on this week. Here's what's going on. But there's got to be a good, like, here's where it all began. Here's how it all started. So I thought they both did really well. I was in the room, but I obviously wasn't saying anything to them. I just said, just talk a little bit about how you guys met and why you're doing this. And they were like, okay, do you think people want to hear that? And I was like,
oh,
yes.
Absolutely. People love the backstory.
Right. They're so, I don't know. Maybe it's just because they're not used to posting as much, but they're always convinced things aren't as interesting as they are. Maybe it's because I'm an EV nerd, but they're like, really? Do you think people want to hear me talk? And I'm like, yeah, of course they do.
No, we are in the era. Listen.
I was in it as well.
There he is. Mike featured.
If we learned anything from the election, it's that people want those long form podcasts. You know, they want more authenticity. They want to know you can't be mysterious. Wow. You have to be out there.
That footage is so old. I'm amazed because the office looks so clean in that picture. It is not like that right now.
No, it's all filled up now. You've grown into the facility.
The phone model is gone, by the way.
The wooden one?
Yeah, that's not there anymore. It's not even in the building.
Did they put it somewhere else, or is it gone?
I think it's in a shipping container somewhere. I asked if they could give it to me, but they said no. It's like, I'd love it in my front yard.
There's nothing connecting it here. There's just a wheel sitting there.
But yeah, like we were there right after the CyberCab event or the showroom, and every part, there's a crane in there now. There's a brackets and these structural carbon fiber parts all over. It's packed. It is already full, and they're only with one chassis. It's gonna get more full. They might have to move the test mule on the left there because there is so many parts showing up. They got their steering racks in, and there's a lot of stuff.
They're making progress. It's just not progress that people are looking for.
I know.
Everyone wants deliveries. Can I buy it now? Is it real? No.
I keep telling them that. The only news they want is, okay, we've built 100 of them and they're ready to go. Yeah. But should we conclude on?
I wanted to bring up at least in 2024, it was a pretty eventful year. I went over some of this over the 200th episode 2 episodes ago. But we started this year with Randy coming back from a road trip and concerns about corrosive Cybertrucks. And we got to meet the R2 and R3.
That was huge.
Huge
that
highlight
was so
for
cool.
me. Yeah.
We saw Fisker slowly dying throughout the year.
That's fair.
Drew
What's
finally got to get behind the wheel in a Cybertruck. The Gravity got shown off. Drew became a Tello employee.
The third annual Gravity unveiling.
Right. Drew became a Tello employee. We got to see some really cool Pikes Peak hill climbing. A lot more interviews with Chris.
Model
Jason.
3 got refreshed.
Model 3 got refreshed. Well, it got refreshed. We saw the refresh last year, but it came into more mass production this year, I guess.
US launch this year. And Performance Model 3 this year.
Yes. And then Polestar also finally showing off the 4 and producing the 3. A lot of EVs got produced this year as well. A lot of GM EVs came out and are coming out.
Got to meet the Polestar CEO. That was cool.
And then
that was neat.
Then he resigned. ID Buzz.
What did I say?
See, what happened was you didn't meet him. He met you, and he said, "I'm getting out. I'm done."
The ID came for the ID Buzz. Started launching in the United States. We got to do an in-person podcast, which was great.
Several, technically.
Nick came back, and we got to see some robo van / robo taxi / robo bot. It was a crazy year.
It was. I think every year is going to get crazier.
And like you'd think at some point it'd get mundane, in which with the amount of GM products that are being announced, I mean the Celestiq, the Vistiq, I still have to figure out which one's which, because I thought the Vistiq was supposed to be the bigger one, but not even the Celestiq is supposed to be the bigger one. It's the Escalade version that's supposed to be the bigger one. But like just all the different EVs, it's going to be so many more comparisons that we get to make. And
for sure,
I think my goal for next year is to actually, I keep on saying this every year, actually sit in a lot of these EVs. We talk about them and we get sometimes to like check them out. I mean, we got to check out the Blazer this year as well, Drew, but
we should check out more for sure.
Yeah. I'd really love to check out more.
My goal for next season is I would like to have more firsthand experience with the EVs that are out there. I know I'm not going to be able to see prototypes and stuff like that, like what's happening in San Diego or out in Tella, but like I don't know why I haven't sat in a Rivian. I want to sit inside an Ioniq. I want to be. It's not that I'm purposely being closed-minded. I just want to be more susceptible to having opportunities to get hands-on experience the same way I did with, Tesla so long ago now and stuff like that. I want to be more. I think my focus, honestly, kind of going forward is to, not that I'm pretending Tesla doesn't exist. It's just I want that to kind of sit on the back burner for a little bit, and I want to see all the new blood, up and coming blood. I want to give that more attention, because it's not that Tesla hasn't earned it. It's just they're solidified, right? And for the same reason about like the whole stock thing we're talking about, they've had their time. I want to give that same passion that I still have and that energy I want to give. I want to give it to kind of everything else, even stuff from Legacy Auto that's trying their own hand of it. I want to be in, because I when I realized that my wife's sister's boyfriend is a mechanic with Volkswagen, and he got to sit in an ID Buzz, and he's done all this. Like, I haven't seen any of that stuff in person, so I would like to experience that firsthand. Take my wife out to go see her original dream vehicle and see what that looks like in the production world. I just want to explore. I want to explore more. That's what I would like to do. Explore.
There's so many of them, and you know this, Randy, because we went through all of them. Available.
I do have standards. I'm not going to do all of them, but
we're gonna have to do this again next year.
Oh no, you
gonna be more.
Drew. You and
it's
Mike.
Your turn with Mike next.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that.
We're gonna rank every Tello truck.
We could do it in person.
Doing it in person and having cutouts like Top Gear, I think would be hilarious, because we need a really big wall and or really small cutouts of each vehicle.
I like the idea of just ranking every Tello, every Aptera. Oh yeah, that's an Aptera.
Well, hold on. Every Aptera, there's 2 of them. Because
Well
there's the
done.
old one that was a hybrid that didn't get past prototype phase. Just like,
Doesn't count.
I guess.
This is Tailosive EV,
I guess
not
they're the same.
Tailosive hybrid.
Yeah,
a lot of
I
EVs.
forget who I was talking to. Who's either you'll like this flex. It was either Tello CEO or Aptera CEO, but one of them said, they were surprised that Scout was willing to do a generator on board, but they were more surprised that they weren't diesel generator because that would be more efficient.
I think it's ease of plugging in an existing and small gas engine that someone could easily plug into a gas pump and not worry about clogging up the diesel. Except you're using it less.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to get.
Diesel
I don't
would
know.
be okay. It would
I
still
don't
be
know
less
much about
emissions.
diesel, so I can't really comment much
The
on
original, to be clear, the original Aptera 2E, the hybrid, was a diesel. It took diesel because that was more. It got better mileage.
Yep.
So it wasn't watered down like the gas is today with corn oil.
Corns and everything.
No. That's the sound of a diesel. No.
There you go. Not one of these vehicles have corn in them. Well, maybe they do.
I guarantee you they all do.
They probably all do.
Corn has infiltrated every aspect of our society.
And wheat.
I will give best, if we're talking U.S. market, best vehicle of the year, long-range rear-wheel drive Model 3.
Ooh.
Best car in the market.
So it has to be out.
Yeah, for the sake of the argument, I'd say
all right.
Best car of the year.
Here you go, Drew. Here's a nice, beautiful picture of it.
I thought one of you were going to say Cybertruck.
Well, that came out last year, but yeah. Non-Foundation Series Cybertruck came out. But I don't know if I'd give it vehicle of the year.
I think...
Here's all the EVs. Can you choose one?
I would pick... Okay, I had to put my bias to the side of it.
What do you mean by came out? As in like produced or shown off?
Well, what do you mean by mean?
Forget the came out thing. That's too confusing. Just say
I'm gay.
This is very concerning for Brittany.
This is news.
Wow.
Any vehicle you want, it didn't have to come out. Just
R3.
Mm.
R3. R3X or R3. Either one, I don't care.
Best event of the year.
Rivian.
Yeah, the Rivian was a pretty good event.
Rivian event was...
I like how you're using my... He's going through the... I like that.
The tech podcast version of it.
I like this. Yeah, Rivian event. And
what was the most controversial?
No, biggest bust. Biggest bust. Cyber. I was so let down. I was so let down.
Fisker's the biggest bust.
Literally.
Yeah,
that might actually. You're right, Mike. That might have.
Fisker's the biggest bust because at least the Cybertruck's
you're right.
Third best EV.
Yeah, but
I'd say maybe Canoe because the biggest stock market decline of all time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we don't know
it's
yet.
in the trail of nines. They did a reverse stock split 23-1, and then those stocks went down to like 10 cents or something.
It's insane.
So adjusted for split, the stock is worth like less than a penny.
I didn't get to answer, but my favorite EV for this year is probably the Scout Traveler. The fact that they came out with a bench seat for the thing, I'm like, okay, I'm sold, and it looks great, and I like the buttons, and I like the design, and it's more than likely going to come out like that because they got the backing of VW, but we'll see, I guess.
I am excited about it.
Yeah.
That one is.
I went to work. I went to work.
No crap.
Yeah, I know, right? I went to work the other day and I was parked between a Bronco and an R1S, and I thought, man, this would look great if it wasn't a Model Y in between and it was a Scout Traveler or Terra. But here we are.
Yeah. I like the Terra because it sounds like Aptera.
Boo.
Is that your next channel? And then you're gonna become a social media director for Scout. That's what we get to do next year, Randy. We get to have a podcast with the social media director for Scout. He's right here.
He goes, guys, I got somebody, and we can ask them questions.
They would have to offer me so much money. Oh,
I wonder if they'd force you to go to Novi, Michigan, or I forget the other place in South Carolina.
There's like a all Saudi EV brand that's starting up. I was like, geez, I bet their social media guy's gonna make a killing. Oh, can you tweet? Here's $1 billion.
Oh, thank you. Typos.
It's like a Mr. Beast challenge.
Yeah.
With minimal
the Beast
typos.
Car.
The Beast.
We need a better note to end on, please.
Okay. We all a Wii card.
It's in there.
The next what I need companies to do in 2025 is I need them to all have exceptional mobile apps the way Tesla does, with widgets and all, commands, control center buttons. I need that for, like, you want my business for real, like, improve the app experience, because that's your first interaction with the vehicle is through the app.
Yep.
And I just want, like, Tesla, oh my God, like, they got that unlocked for good, obvious reasons. And I just want more, or no, not even more. I want all companies to do it. I know they won't, but even if we get just some of that, that's a net positive for everybody.
Yeah, NACS adoption. I forgot about that.
NACS adoption happened. That's one. Dang. This was a fun year for EV. Holy crap. Dang. That's neat. Yeah. So that's my goal. If we just get more companies improving their app experience, I will say that's a net positive for all for the EV sector as a whole. And I'll be like, yep, in 2025, this was a success because they got their apps in line. Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm looking forward to Drew's next biggest announcement. Because last year it was, actually, I think it was just we went to see Tello. But the year before that was I ordered an Aptera, and the year before that, I believe it was a Model 3.
Oh,
jeez.
So
I don't even know what it's going to be.
How are you going to top it next year?
His big announcement is he has to cancel his Aptera because he needs more seats.
I really don't. I would take one now. I would use it.
Yeah, right now you would, but in the future, you need something with, maybe car seat compatibility or something.
They talked about having a car seat option in the Aptera. So
why don't you buy one then, Randy?
They talked about it.
We'd be the cutest spokespeople for them. It'd be me and my wife and a little baby. And that's ever gonna happen.
I can't wait to flash forward or edit this later where I grabbed that soundbite and then
that's ever gonna happen.
Take all these clips and send them to my child in the future.
Like, that's ever gonna happen.
Boom today. Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah.
Great year, everyone.
It's been fun.
It's been real fun.
It's been pretty fun, actually. So yeah, it's been real fun.
Thanks for the job, Mike.
No. You're the one who did all the work. I'm just the one who.
You could thank me then. Thank me. You're welcome.
We
Wouldn't
got
have
all
happened.
the way to the end,
Wouldn't have
and
happened
then he showed up.
without you.
Hello,
I
Mike.
just connected some wires. That's it. I do not take all the responsibility. That is you to.
It's
But you
me.
should.
I take all the credit. It was. You're welcome. Because this show would be dead in the water if it wasn't for me. There would be no connection because it's gone. Just like Joe, he's gone. Everybody's gone. Excuse me.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Be safe, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
All right.